check kids' grades, try to get them to the point to understand that you're missing this, and this, and it's got to be done. And then that literally comes to Mrs. Shiflett and I every week. I mean, I literally am looking at grades and attendance once a week in my office. And I learned that from her, so it's just kind of been carried on, and it works. I mean, if you pay attention to detail, you can save them. You just got to do it.
Kevin, we have a Google form.
Yeah.
Where the teachers will, if there's a kid that's struggling, even a D, in any class, we put their name down with what's going on. They have access to it, so everybody knows who's doing what.
And we have two really good interventionists this year, math interventionists and English interventionists, so that'll be helpful as well in those two areas. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and Ms. Ainsworth.
A lot of what I have to say is going to be pretty similar to what everyone's already said. We have something in the state called results-driven accountability. And that's where they look at each corporation and their special education test scores, graduation rates, all of those kinds of things. So when I look at my passing percentages, just for the special education kids, I'm looking at grades 3 through 8 because they lump them all together that way. We had the special education kids in math had a 12% passing rate. This is 2022 data too. They don't have, or maybe even 2021. They're a little slow to update. And then we had a 24% passing rate for language arts. So we're going to be working on some specially designed instruction for math. A lot of kids really struggle with just numerical concepts, and so then when you start adding all of the functions in, they get a little lost. So we're going to really work on some more remediation for that within our special education department. And I'm going to be sending some people to some trainings at Wabash Training Center and trying to bring some people in. We brought somebody in to talk to our instructional assistants for reading as well, and how the interventionists can start to, in special and general education, can start to implement some new science of reading strategies, and what that's going to be looking like coming up. 67% of our special education students passed iRead. So my goal would be for 82% to be passing at the end of the, if I look at increments over the next 3 years, 82% by the end of the 2027 school year. And then for math, 25% in that same timeline, and 40% in language arts. That's adding about 4 to 5% every year, which is a little lofty. 3% is a little more likely, but I'd rather shoot a little high and hope for the best with some hard work. We're going to keep providing, like I said, that support and training to our teachers. And Kevin touched a lot on, it's very difficult for teachers to teach kids that aren't coming to school ready to learn, when they have a lot of, little people bring a lot of baggage with them. And so that's one of the things that we've added somebody to help support our behavior intervention system, so that we have more streamlined strategies for that through a consulting group. And that's something that I'll continue working on with all of the staff, is some strategies that we can use to help our kids come to school and want to be here. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I got a question.
Okay.
Leave it to me here. So we added a behavior specialist for special ed.
She is, so that role has been a little confusing. She is working specifically with a couple of kids that have autism. So she is, in an autism center, she would be called a registered behavior technician. So she's a very trained behavior assistant for a very small group of kids.
Okay. I wanted to get that clear, because people said, oh, you hired a behavior specialist for special ed, so our other behavior specialists now can do more. But reality is, these are for that small group, the autism kid that we have in play that we are required
Yeah.
to do, right?
And Jody is one human being,
That's right.
and there are a lot of need. So if we look at how we can systematically help with the teachers that can do some things within their classroom so that the kids aren't having to leave as often. Sometimes it's gonna happen that they need to take a break, or that, you know, the environment's just not conducive to learning right then. But, you know, if we look across the entire school and school corporation on strategies that we can use within every classroom, then she'll be able to target a few more of those high-need kids too.
Something else not today, a financial of our special ed, that with, you know, our grants and stuff, in the past, we hire people based on we're gonna get this, or this is the thing, just so the board kind of also understands to the point, as we go down the line of doing the financial part of things, how we doing, and what we're expecting. I'm not asking today, pull
I
out
have
any
spreadsheets, I can
So-
share them with you at any time.
But I know other board members has asked from time to time, so
Yep.
it isn't a monthly thing, but just maybe quarterly, just update us and keep us apprised on something,
Okay.
if you would.
Yeah.
Cause I know we need more play equipment, so, yeah,
Yeah.
for those type, for our scenario there.
Yeah,
So,
with adding our 2 essential skills classes, all of those kiddos coming back to us. Right now, we don't need a ton of equipment, but moving forward, you know, when the larger kids need a changing table or something like that, that'll be a pretty big expense.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we've already had an athletics report, so we will move to number 4. I'd like to get a motion for 4 routine matters. 4A, which is consent items, monthly and payroll claims in the amount of $1,460,344.91. Also, the approval of the monthly financial reports as submitted by our treasurer. 4B would be the employment of certified staff. 4C would be the employment of classified staff. 4D would be the employment of the ECA staff, which we have quite a list there. 4E, the 2023 to 2024 mentor teachers, which will receive a $500 per mentee. 4F, resignations, terminations, and retirements there. And then 4G, we have fundraisers, facility usage. Some of these are past and present field trips coming up. So can I get a motion for 4A through G, please?
Move that we approve, routine matters 4A through 4B as submitted. Second.
Okay, long list there. Any discussion? You kind of start at the top if you want and move through the letters.
Yes, please explain, on the employment of certified staff, I see 10 days additional per diem, 6 days additional per diem, and then 1 hour per diem per diem. What is the per diem rate?
Per diem is you take their, annual salary, so Jessica Baines, for example, 47,300, you divide it by 184, that gives you your per day per diem. So then that 10 additional days would be that rate times 2. Or extended contract.
So the contract's 194 days.
Well, the per diem, the extra days is their daily rate. So she has 194, but we figure those 10 days as what is her daily rate on a teacher contract of 184 days. And then say if it's $180 a day, then those 10 days she actually gets an extended contract.
So she's working
1,800.
194 days.
She does work 184 days, but it's not calculating that salary. Our counselors have all been on that. We have several other staff members, media specialists. And then number 7, Elizabeth Hoffman, with the bus changes, because we're trying to make sure that Camden has a full day, we need to supervisors for, what, 15 minutes, is it, Mr. Hawk?
Yes.
Yeah, 15 minutes every day. We've got to move some kids in so we can use a bus to get them to Kansas by 8 o'clock. So, Elizabeth Hoffman is going to supervise, she supervises every morning for 15 minutes. So we're paying her 1 hour of her per diem. That makes sense. Each week.
Do we still have our school cell phones, or are they all gone?
We pay stipends for stuff.
But we do not have, at the school
Yeah, we haven't had a school cell phone
for
stipend
a little
yet.
while, right?
Yeah, I've never had one.
What time is dismissal at Camden?
It's getting closer. We have been working on it. But today was the closest we've gotten, because the buses came. Go ahead, Ross, because it's been a transition.
Yeah, they just started out last week and started picking them up at 2:15. So they had plenty of time to get down here and walk each pre-K kindergarten to the bus down here. And then we moved it to 2:30 today, and then by Friday or Thursday or Friday will be at 2:45.
So it's kind of.
Like last year, it was just 2:30, pick them up at 2:30, but it's gonna be 2:45.
Yeah.
I think the car riders are 250.
Car riders, I think, are 255.
Car riders are 250.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's just trying to get those little ones figured out. So,
One way to clean up our agenda too is not have 80% of the fundraisers and stuff already done. That happens every month.
Got another question. So is Randy German, is he retired or is he,
he
What's the-
retired and he has come back.
well, I'm glad to see he came back. But, so is he on retirement and he's gonna,
He is retired and now he has decided to come back to be a salaried employee. So I told him he's not getting another retirement.
I'm just gonna chime in real quick. We've seen this 2 months in a row, with our resignations. I mean, we have some people that leave for other reasons, but, we've been trying to say this, we tried to say it before the referendum, but, we had at least 3 or 4 that left specifically for more money at other schools. Last month, we had, administrators leave for an extra $15,000 per person to go to TSC and neighboring schools. So I think this is a really important sign that we need to look at, that we cannot support and compete with other schools without more funding. Granted, this group that's here tonight hears this from us every night. We need you to pass that on to the people you live around that need to understand that we need more funding, and we're gonna find ways to do it. But it would sure be nice that our public that really wants to have an opinion would show up and actually help out with that as well. So I think that's just a big key thing there is we've been seeing resignations and we get great replacements, but that may not happen forever when we can't pay more. So I just want people to understand that, we do lose very good quality teachers, administrators, in all departments. So I mean, just so people see that, there is a list every month that we go through. Any other input before we move forward? Okay, long list there, 4A through 4G. All in favor, say aye.
aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Moving forward, we've got number 5 here, old business. I'd like to get a motion, for the additional cost of removal, replacement, and repair of the sidewalk and curbs. This would be at the DCES for a total of $38,587.25 coming out of operations. Make it a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? You've been given, the updated quote.
This was originally bid by, Benedict? Can they not finish the job?
So that was not correct.
No,
It was originally accepted by C.C. Shepson, which did all the work here at the middle school. Benedict was a secondary bid that was higher originally, and they still are higher, but we did not accept. So we used C&C
These are
Shepson.
the guys that did that.
Yes.
They're the ones that did the work out front here.
it was excellently paid for that, but it was TC Shepson,
This work's completed.
the middle school.
The elementary school that's on here.
This is not done.
This is the fall break
This is
project.
a new bid with an updated price.
Well, it was bid before, but they overran here. So
They,
they had to rebid it.
correct.
What they did is they found more damage, so they replaced more here than they had originally planned. So,
So they're assuming they're gonna run into that at the elementary, or I don't understand.
I hope not.
No, this is just stuff that needs replaced.
So
What
why-
happened
why
is,
is the change in-
the amount they bid, whether it was 6,000 feet or whatever the amount was, the amount they bid for both places, they ended up doing it all here.
They overran the cost here,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then, so basically, you're approving the additional cost for here.
I don't like the way we're doing this.
I know,
So this bid is for the elementary school, but we've already approved the elementary school.
amount,
We approved both of them, yes.
Shouldn't we just be approving the overrun here?
yes, that's what it should be.
Yes, they gave me a new quote. And that's not how you wanna amend it. So, I've got the old one.
The overrun is middle school, it should be approved from middle school overrun. These are the dollars. Correct, Ross?
But
This is actually for the overrun at the middle school, because
For
then
both
that
projects.
dollars that they bid last time is
Yeah.
gonna transfer down there, so really we should approve it for the overrun of the middle school, is this amount, is what it comes down to. Since we've already done the elementary bid. Yeah. You're right, it should be.
I mean, it looks like we're spending a lot more at the elementary school than this.
Ross, does this new bid include potential extra at the elementary that was not expected the first time? Now that they've done this, they've realized there's
I
a
did
bigger
not ask him
project.
that, I can follow up on that.
Well, they actually have additional optional work on here, on the bid,
Yeah, so
Additional and optional work.
yeah.
there's another $18,000 roughly at the bottom that's in this bid for extra work at the elementary that was not bid the
So
first
they
time.
have put in a contingency.
So that is where a lot of the extra, it looks like it's roughly 20,000 for the original bid. So maybe the question would be just clarity, how much we went over here and what is actually needed there.
Yeah, I feel like we're misleading here with suggesting that the change in bid is for the elementary school and it's the whole project, or it needs to be spelled out differently so we know what we actually spend here versus what the possible quote is for down there, with contingencies, I guess, included of $18,000.
Yeah, we should have a original quote, an overrun then or an overrun for the middle school. Okay, that should be the difference for the elementary. So what was the middle school originally?
Well, this is a quote, it just was for all Delphi schools, was $68,460.
That was for both middle school and elementary.
Yeah, that was the
So
whole
we
thing.
have to basically assume that the overrun is $38,000 for the middle school, or whatever this figure is the overrun for the middle school, because they haven't done anything down
Well,
there.
technically, the overrun would be the
But
first
if it was
two,
for all schools, there's no overrun.
that's my point.
It's a general contract for the corporation.
Okay, so it'd be an
It'd be like
overrun
paying
for,
part of the
it'd be an
job.
overrun for the contract,
Yeah, we
period.
paid
Yeah.
part.
Cause there's no spelled out to either one then, right? I thought it was separated out between,
No,
okay.
it was literally
okay.
one quote for
Okay.
the
For
whole
the whole
project.
bid.
So if it's one quote, whole bid, then this is an overrun for, what they've done up to this point.
So
What's the
it's,
date on that quote? The one you're looking at?
7/24/23.
So that's not what we approved though at the last meeting, right?
Then we approved this one for 28/23.
And it's a one quote though.
It's a one quote for all three buildings.
And what
So
was-
they ran
what's
out
the total on that?
So,
$68,460. So they overran $20,027. That's what they overran. Now they have two optionals on here we can add in for a total of $38,000. And I'm assuming they're putting those optionals on there after the things that they found out when they were doing the middle school, high school, because things were crappy. They found cracks in it once they removed it, that they had to end up repairing more areas.
So what you're asking us is to approve up to 38,000 additional 18 on them options, whatever them options are, right?
Yeah, say that again. So basically, it's we overran $20,027.
Okay, so 20,027 is what, from the original quote.
Yes,
Then there's another 18,000 that you're asking us as a board to approve to potentially use.
correct, if they have the same issues.
So that needs to be spelled out. With the amount there of 20,000, whatever it was. it is right now.
$20,027.25.
All right, say that again, sorry.
$20,027.25.
Okay, okay,
And if you said the other one, if you subtracted for the optionals,
right,
is $18,560.
okay. So actually, we need to amend the motion to accept $20,027.25 for the overrun with an additional 18,560 for, the options that may be needed. Okay, clear as mud?
I think that's correct.
You-
I'll second that.
You have to say, when you said that.
Michelle, did you
He made
get
the
that?
motion, I heard
We
it.
need to rescind that original,
We do, we do.
Yeah.
We either need to
Good
rescind
luck,
or,
they say.
or
So we're adding $20,027.25 to the original, approved bid that we did for concrete work with an additional, up to $18,560 of potential, unseen, need.
that's okay, but we need to rescind that original motion.
Yeah, that's a thing. Well, whoever made it, they can,
I did. I made the original
well,
motion.
here, you can make it again then.
Go ahead then,
With this new addition.
with the new addition.
Okay, I make a motion to amend this, estimate, I guess, for an additional $20,027.25 with the option of $18,560 if necessary.
Correct.
second.
Okay, now, do we have any discussion on that?
Yeah.
Alright,
That'll be a quiz.
all in favor of 5A, old business, with an additional cost of $20,027.25 with the option of an $18,560 for additional fees, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, moving back, kind of forward, backwards, number 6 here was new business. We're gonna start with 6A, which is right back to the football lights. Chip, we may have more questions for you, since now this is the chance. Can I get a motion for talking about football lights, number 6, with a recommended, or a preferred quote of $206,525.
I move that we approve the football lights, from, Musco for $2,000, or, $206,525.
Get a second.
What, football?
Football and track.
I second.
Okay, discussion, anybody,
The LED question.
the LED question?
No, that's, you already answered it, even though that's, what is it getting paid from, by?
Yes,
Now?
sorry, the bond, the 2021 GO.
I'm looking at two quotes here from Musco, and one of them is, what, almost $34,000 difference. And the quotes are the same. Where's the difference at here, Chip?
So, the route we went with it, because the scope of the project to get as much replaced as we need to get replaced for the reliability side would be above the 150 threshold, and we'd have to go open bidding, that whole route. So, to be able to make it work, there's the Sourcewell co-op option, which those prices are already governmented, they're already preset. So then those prices just go to the installers for whatever their installation fees are. So those are the two separate local contractors that said, okay, this is the material and this is the stuff that is approved for X price, and this is what it's gonna cost us to put it in, and then that gets you the final price. So that, those are both two local contractors.
Who isn't?
I don't have the bid in front of me for the two installers.
Custer Electric is the 206, and Way Electric's the 230.
Yeah,
And Custer's the one that did the softball field, right?
I believe you are correct. Yeah, they've done quite a bit of work recently for Musco.
Both these quotes are expired.
Yeah. These are dated back in June. Are they still holding for these quotes, or?
Yes, I was on the phone with him actually today talking about the project, so.
So can we get a new updated, because it expired the 15th of July, is what it says on there. So,
That's all we're gonna pay.
I was having a tough time understanding, I mean, it's $80,000 more to go from Houston to Musco. And you talked already about the 25-year warranty, which is huge. So what is the lights that Houston's offering? I assume there's a warranty period, but I couldn't tell from the quotes. I mean, it's really hard to figure out what they're actually doing for the money. There's a lot of variances.
So, the Houston lights, again, I got absolutely terrible reviews, from North Montgomery has them right now. And they are a company out of Texas, Geosport. Their warranty, I didn't write that one down because I know it was one of the longer ones. The LED Indy one was a 20-year warranty, I know that, because that one was the only one that even came close to the 25.
do you know what the volts are out there? They're more than 277.
No, I think that's right.
Coming off in, that's only 270. You sure ain't like 480 coming off into the box to run those?
Because they're not all put together. You only have half the field on each. You got two poles on each side.
You have two different
feeds
meters?
There's feed coming in from each side.
You have two different meters?
I would assume that, well, I don't know that one, to be honest with you. There might be.
Because you still only have, that's what I'm saying.
There's two separate feeds coming in. That's why you have to switch them on for both sides.
Okay, because on Houston, it's talking about 270 volt, anything above that, they can charge you more,
The
unseen
Houston-
costs. That's why I just kind of was curious.
Houston.
It looks like 240, 280.
poles?
Yes, so everybody's reusing the poles. Each quote is a different level of replacing components. The Musco stuff is replacing everything.
Wiring and.
Yes, so there'll be all new wiring harnesses. They'll put in new disconnects, then they have to put in a new panel like they did softball so that they can have their remote control capabilities from their home base, all that kind of stuff. All those things will be computed.
So they'll be replacing the aluminum wire that we're having issues with it coming loose.
Yes, it'll go to their new wiring. There'll be a whole new wiring harness comes out from up top that connects into the new stuff.
Okay.
The Houston one doesn't have a warranty listed on their phone.
Yeah.
And you said Kokomo had
The energy harness stuff?
yeah.
So there's two schools I've talked to that have had experience with them. I said Kokomo, I wanna say maybe it was some old softball lights or something along that nature that they've had. Again, it wasn't like, if I didn't get an overwhelming, these are amazing, they're okay, they seem to be reliable, but from now on, they're basically gonna go with Musco when they can. All of the Musco stuff they're putting in right now, much more reliable, much more user-friendly. Obviously, the warranty work, like I said, we've had experience with them. They literally call whoever installed it, they just show up, fix what we need, and we're good to go.
Does the Musco light, you said it's the same as softball field, will it be that same design?
No, I mean, it'll use the same pole configuration, the 4 poles, and then we're guaranteed, so, the NFHS has guidelines for what each playing surface's lighting sequence should look, or what lighting pattern should look like. So we're basically, you have a range of 30 to 50 foot candles per area. And so we will have a guaranteed 40 at all areas. Basically, the lighting pattern that he showed me, so basically, the track, except for the turns, that's the area that'll get lit really well. Those will all be in that 40 foot candle area.
So we do not need to add poles to make up for any.
So total retrofit of the same poles, because these actually are Musco poles. Everybody else would be adapting their stuff to what those poles are.
But the end zone area, I'll call it, circle the track, that will still be a less lighted as it is today. It's a little less lighted today, right?
So like,
You'll have the
when you
same
have a
effect.
track meet, it's lit enough to run track,
Right.
but it is not lit up like like
Center
50
of
yard.
it, yeah. But with LEDs, actually, the spread should be a little bit better, probably.
I don't see anything in the partnership about replacing all the existing.
Components.
On the Musco stuff?
I didn't say it.
Yeah, that was the question, that was the reason I had him on the phone today, was clarifying.
Existing wiring.
Some of the factory wire tested and then
Yeah, your control link system, I believe in there it says you've got, so factory wired, remote component enclosures, your pull top hardware, disconnects, and all UL listed assemblies. That's that list there that he's talking about replacing.
When are you planning on installing this? When will they be?
So-
We talking?
Again, if we were to go with the preferred quote, they're looking at anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks that they can deliver material. To me, that is one of those, again, are we gonna rush this? No, we're not gonna rush it because we've seen what happens when we rush a project like this. So if there's a point where we've got in the schedule, which there is in football, where we've got like 3 weeks where we're on the road, and they can get it delivered at the beginning, and we know we got 3 weeks, and it doesn't seem like a risk, we might entertain it. But honestly, it would be as soon as the season's over, let's get it done right, make sure things are the way they're supposed to be, and then they'll be up for track, we'll be able to run through the season in track, make sure everything's the way they are, and then we'll be ready for the next football.
Would it be too much hardship if we asked for a updated one, plus it spelled out, all what they're planning on doing?
As far as a detail,
Yeah, I mean, that they are gonna replace that step, you said, that we do have a current one, that way it's spelled out.
Well, I'm confused, because if you look at the line under Sourcewell, it actually has an expiration date of 2017. I think they forgot to put the date at the top.
Okay.
If you look at
It
the
does,
photo.
yeah.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
But we
it's
still
got,
wanna
they
spell.
put the date. And the other thing is,
That's probably the contract expiration, that's the price of the component, not least purchase price.
Right.
and then what is wire harnesses?
That could be just this.
Yeah.
It
So-
may not be the whole thing like we're being led to believe, so it's just the harness up on top and going into the new junction box, control box, how you wanna do it. I
yeah,
guess.
your wire harness is gonna run from the fixture all the way down the pole.
Yeah, it says pole length.
Yeah.
Pole length factory assembled wire harness.
Yeah, basically every lighting fixture when it comes to athletics, there is a factory built wire harness that connects to all of them up top so they can control them all at the same time, puts them all in sync and all those types of things, and those are gonna come for whatever the pole length is. They're gonna bring it down so we can go up to those.
You did say though that they're gonna replace all wiring, including panels. That's not spelled out here.
Yeah, so the UL listed assemblies, the disconnects, all of that was what, when I called him, that was the clarification I was. Because I knew that would be a question.
I'd like to see it right. This is the stuff that ends up coming back and costing us.
Well, and we could end up in the same situation we're in now, where we end up with a push-on breaker instead of a bolt-on breaker, and now we're.
Yeah, because we paid a lot of money for those upgrades just a few years ago, including those panels, and here we are.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that at all. That has been, that's the fight I'm fighting.
It sounds like we should table this, until next year.
Can I ask for clarification, are you wanting just this quote to get more detailed, or you want all quotes?
Well, I think, from what I'm hearing, Musco is the preferred quote because of the light, so it sounds like, what I think I need is to know for sure exactly what they're gonna include, including those components, if that's part of the package. And if J&J's doing it all, maybe we just need them to spell it out.
Custer's gonna do
Or
it.
Custer, sorry, thank you.
So just
Just
the one
Custer,
quote?
just Custer.
Just one quote.
I would prefer getting more detailed information on why energy harnesses. I mean, it's $70,000 cheaper. And all we're getting, they said they work, but it's okay. That's just one opinion.
So the energy harness thing, like I said, also is only a 5-year warranty.
You can buy a lot of bulbs over $70,000-$80,000.
Yeah, getting them installed was another story.
Maybe
We're
not.
gonna climb that pole and put them up.
Get the baseball field.
We're gonna lift for about $250 an hour to come in here every time we change a bulb.
So,
LED bulbs,
Sure they do. How many we replace right off the bat?
No parking lot.
And we went to LED.
They're drivers, deal with a lot of drivers.
so what I'm hearing is get a more detailed quote for your
Components that are
preferred
gonna be.
one, and then we want more information on the energy harness. Is that what I'm hearing correctly?
Okay.
I guess to clarify, to justify spending $70,000 more, I need more information that they're okay, but I don't want those.
Start.
Okay. All right, we will, table that, expecting to see those two quotes, new. Okay, thanks, Jeff. Moving forward, 6B, new business here, we've got can I get a motion for a certified staff evaluation rubric?
So moved.
Second.
Mrs. Circle, do you have information on that?
Yes, I think the commoners are gonna talk about it, but I also wanna say before they come up here, I wanna thank the entire committee who met into July on this, gave up their time, and Mr. Long led it with a bunch of teachers, and they came in multiple times to rewrite this, so I really appreciate it, because it's something I've been asking for like 5 years, so thank you for all the time that they donated.
Like Mrs. Circle said, no one could have asked for more out of a group of people. Tim and Sherry were two that came to every meeting. Jennifer Landis, Mrs. Tice, There were lots of people that came to multiple meetings. Andy Groniger from Camden came to most of the meetings. And Mrs. Traeger. Yes, thank you. The process we started with was collecting the rubrics that were being used from other area schools. Then we looked at those to see the differences and why. After that, we kind of broke out our current RISE 3.0 and went over it line by line, discussing what we liked, what we didn't like, how we can make the system more fair and also more, I don't want to say simple isn't the right word, but to how we could streamline it. Sherrington, anything you want to add?
One of the things that the Teachers Association, we had a problem with was that on the rubric, there were several places where out of 4 sections on the rubric, you can only get a 3. And any teacher knows you cannot have a rubric that you can't get the highest score on. So we wanted to go through and make sure that on the rubric, there was something in every one of those boxes. Because you could have a perfect evaluation, but you're only gonna get a 3 out of 4 because there was no 4 on the that was possible. So we did that. We cleaned up the language that was just redundant or confusing. And so I don't know if you guys got the one that has all the red and the yellow on it. The red were the things that we struck out. The yellow was how we tried to improve the language. And we worked on it, we said between 20 and 30 hours. We came in the summer and finished it so that you guys could have it. We want to get it in the teacher's hands before observations start. We've been talking about this for how many years, Mrs. Silva?
Ever since we first adopted.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think one of the things too that's good about this, it doesn't have to be approved by the state anymore.
Yeah.
So it's really, in a way, it's kind of like a living document. I mean, we can go through it this year, and if we see something, things we like, we can leave it that way. But if there are things that, we need to change, we can reconvene the committee and we can work on tweaking those things, over the summer. But I really think that I think we've done our best. I mean, I really think the administrative team and the teachers that were there put a lot of thought into it. We took it very seriously because this, this whole evaluation process is very, very important. To me, it's just as important that the sanctity of the evaluation process is just as important as the sanctity of the testing process.
Mrs. Shiplet also came to
Yes.
several meetings, and she ran a meeting in my absence.
And Mrs. Painter.
Yes.
Yes. We had, there was admin there, so we were able to say, okay, when you walk into a classroom, what do you think you should be seeing? And then we could see it, okay, here's from our standpoint. One of the big things that we did was we cut back on the artifacts that we had to put into the Fitness for Success. Instead of 2 per indicator, we only have to put in 1, that the principals always have the option for a teacher who is struggling to ask for more. So we also left in there that new teachers would be observed more than the teachers who had been there. We left those things in there, and the principals still have the option, the authority to tell a struggling reader, teacher, I keep reading, so a struggling teacher, hey, we need to see more. We're gonna come in and do more observations. We're not gonna say, okay, you can't come in, that kind of thing.
And I think too, when you look at like the number, we talked about long evaluations and short evaluations. Anytime an administrator comes into your room, they're making an observation. Mr. Hawk was in my room today for about 5 minutes, and he was looking around to see what was going on. So that's something that everybody, everybody kind of needs to wrap their head around. It's not just what's based on the evaluation, but it's for everybody to be on the same page, for everyone to grow and be to show this growth that we want, to have a positive impact on our students. The admin need to you know, they need to come in our rooms and it's just nothing else to say hi. You know, they're seeing what's going on in the room. And that validates the teacher's work.
And this is just the start, because this was the classroom teachers. Now, counselors, theirs will be a little different. The special teachers, they'll be a little different, because they're gonna do the data-driven type of stuff.
Special ed teachers.
Special ed teachers especially. So this was just the starting point. And then the other groups, they could come in and do what in the next grade.
How many pages is it?
There's 103 altogether.
Yeah, it's 103 pages.
But the certified staff, classroom teachers, are what we're doing this time.
Did an excellent job. And I do wanna add to what Mr. Connor was saying, they did drop that, we used to have a specific rubric, now they allow schools to adopt their own. But we still need to, at the start of school, we still have to adopt that rubric.
Any questions?
Yeah, I appreciate what you guys done here. I remember the first year I was in, I think you guys had a 10-inch binder and had to have everything in it. I think Lori still has hers
Oh, I have
for
mine
a
too.
bookmark, you know, or a thing. A couple things, and we've only had this a short while. I mean, we just got this last week. So, as I went through some of the things, you know, when it comes to particularly like the contribute to school culture, some of us on the board has had opportunities to either be at other schools or talk with other schools on some of that type of thing. Maybe as we go forward, somebody off the board can sit in and maybe do that, like Whitestown, I believe it is. They have a section in there where the staff has to attend, I think, 3 or 4 community things. This is like maybe during Bacon Fest or Old Settlers, they're with the Lions Club doing things like that in order to reach highly effective. That's what they have to do. So they're involved in the community. And that's one thing I know as we try to strive is that culture, the community thing. Maybe there are things down the future, I'm not saying today, but I commend you guys for what you've done. Everything you've struck out of here, a lot of this stuff, you know, it just adds to, actually it'll help us, I think, formulate and even to be able to address it into a superintendent's rubric. Actually, there's a lot in here that we can do too and start formalizing that part a little bit better too. So I appreciate everybody that's on the committee as far as where I sit.
And it was nice for us as elementary teachers to sit with 3 different level administrators, with Mrs. Painter and Mrs. Shiflett. And we talk to Andrew all the time, but it was nice to hear their perspective, and middle school teachers and high school teachers. And so we all the same, but we're very, very different.
And the administrators were coming in from different areas. You know, Mr. Hawk came from North White. I think probably Mrs. Shiflett was at TSC, and I guess Ms. Painter was TSC too. So it was kind of nice too, always to get those new perspectives. I mean, you just can't kind of. I mean, some people throw out growth mindset. I think it gets overused, but I think you have, instead of maybe being a growth mindset, you need to be open-minded, and you need to see what else is out there and value these opinions and different perspectives. I think that helped a lot.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay, on 6B, we need to vote for certified staff evaluation rubric. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. 6C, need a motion for develop IQ annual fire inspection for the school corporation of $10,160.
So moved. Second.
Mr. Circle, I believe this is just basically what they've done in the past. They come through and they check every
Yeah,
inch of our
it's
fire
very,
system.
yeah, it's very detailed. We have to have this inspection done. We are getting a 5-year plan, which each year it's got the rates in here. It does every building, does the elementary, Camden,
No, they also do the bus fire extinguishers as well. And all that down there.
Any other questions?
So Ross, this is all the fire extinguishers, everything, and if they're outdated or not at status quo where they're supposed to, do they
Switch them
replace,
out.
they replace them?
Yeah, same as the batteries in all the units here that had any issue.
Okay, is that additional cost or is that included in this?
Batteries additional cost, and if they have to replace the fire extinguisher, yes.
Okay,
And this includes kitchen, those we checked, which is important. Pool stations.
Yeah, all the hood vents and everything were inspected.
Okay. All in favor of envelop IQ annual fire inspection for the school corporation of $10,160, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And we've got one, Chris will abstain. Okay, moving forward. Moving forward, 6D, so we need to get a motion for permission to purchase 2 school buses totaling $276,808 out of the operations fund. And also, I'll tie in 6E, which would be permission to sell 2 buses, bus number 15 and bus number 18.
I move we grant permission to purchase 2 new school buses and sell bus 15 and 18.
All right, any discussion? It looks like we've got a preferred quote for Thomas for both buses.
That's Thomas is what we currently have,
Correct.
all of our buses.
But all the bids come in to show, Bluebird, International, and Thomas. In comparison.
Ross, I was trying to figure out, in comparison, so it looks like they'll all have cameras,
Yes,
all the extra,
they'll all have the
extra stop
5
arms.
360-degree cameras inside, one shooting out the front and one on the stop arm.
That's all in there, okay.
Yes, the difference between the 2 buses is we went ahead and priced out getting a new bus to replace bus 2 with the needed pre-K seats that we need for running back and forth to Candy.
Do new buses have to have seatbelts in them now?
No, it's never gotten approved. It'll get expensive, but I'm assuming it's gonna happen someday.
so Ross, when I look at the quotes, 2 versus 10, there's only about $4,000.
Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and just buy the full 2 buses with the 10 integrated into it and have that option for in case they're needed? I mean, is that,
We can.
am I looking at right? I guess
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
right?
it's just 4,000 more.
Okay, that may be something bus, or the board may wanna look at. And my other question is, just for the record, bus 15 and 18 are yellow buses, or one
Correct.
of them?
No, they're both
yellow?
large yellow buses.
Okay, thank you.
And we would advertise those on publicsurplus.com like we have in past years.
Okay. I don't have board, I mean, when I look at that quote, there's only, like I said, 3,000 difference, 4,000.
And in reality, the nice thing is, like we did when we first got 2 and 7, we got them completely full of integrated car seats, so we can pull out some and put them in all our other buses. So in reality, if we get extras and we need them in one of our other buses, we can switch them.
Full, right?
So yeah, that would be easy to do.
What do you think?
Where do you store those at if you're not using them? Is
What's
there room
that?
on the bus, those child seats?
No,
Don't
they're
those
actually
come out
integrated.
separately?
They're integrated, you just pull down.
So it's not like the white bus that has,
Well, some of the old buses, all the auxiliary buses and some of our other buses had the star seats that we had to put in.
right, this is
Now
actually.
these are all
for-
integrated. You simply pull down a part of the seat and inside of there is the, 5-point or 3-point harness.
It's like the new cars.
Yeah,
Like in vans.
That's why I said that.
So he's right, in reality, for $4,000, we could get them both that
When
way.
you mentioned you could put it in another bus, you have to remove the seat.
We would just remove the whole seat.
Swap 'em out.
And swap them out. That's what we did when we got to a 7, because it was cheaper than buying extra integrated seats for all the other buses. And he could change that quote for me real easy, he'd just add 4,000. Right now, all they really need is your letter of intent. We wouldn't do the PO until January with new money.
$200 actually.
So it'd be a total of 64.
Change the motion on that, or?
Everybody in agreement on that?
What do you think, Chris? Mr. President,